A glorious rebirth. Arkham has always been a little strange. It seems like every time you read the news, there's a fresh report of some gruesome murder or sudden disappearance. A battered corpse in the waterfront district, a missing police officer in Frenchville, a bloody sigil drawn in the alley behind Velma's diner. The city has its share of crackpots and conspiracy theorists. Sure, but even the most level-headed observer can't ignore the facts. There is something wrong with this city. However, most folks in Arkham do not like to dwell on the bad. In the wake of the flood 6 months ago, the city is building itself back stronger than ever, with new money pouring in from outside investors. They say everything's on the up and up, and it sure looks like it. But you know there's always something more to the story. Whatever lies ahead, you do not have to face it alone. There are others like you who have encountered similar horrors and who won't settle for easy explanations or comforting distractions. They too know there is something to this city's ancient curses and witch legends. Will you stand with them against the evils that lurk beyond mortal understanding, or will you succumb, as so many have, to the terrors of the mythos? Scenario 1: Spreading Flames. Strange things are afoot in the city of Arkham. A recent spate of fires and grisly accidents have the entire city on edge. While the Arkham Advertiser has offered a few flimsy explanations, you and your associates are not so sure. Robbed figures have been sighted near these odd happenings, and your mutual friend is convinced they are to blame. You agree to meet at your friend's dormitory at Miskatonic University to try and get to the bottom of things. However, when you arrive, your friend's room is empty and the dormitories are strangely quiet. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Brethren of Ash campaign playthrough on expert difficulty with Daniela Reyes. First, we're gonna shuffle at random one basic weakness into our deck. Alright, let's go with this one. We have syndicate obligations. Now we give a quick shuffle to each the player and encounter deck, and then we will immediately start the game. Alright, the player deck is shuffled. We will now draw our starting hand of 5 cards. Here we have already found Daniela's wrench and the meat cleaver. So we do not need a right tool for the job anymore. Jumpsuit can help. And overpower maybe. So now we are looking for cards to find clues with. And because of that, we're gonna first of all take a mulligan on these 4 cards. So here the priority is to find a card that will help us to get the clues. So we set them aside and draw 4 more cards from the top of our deck. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, now this is our starting hand. The cards we have set aside will be shuffled back into our deck. and then we are ready to start the game. But before we start, we will have a look at the agenda deck and the act deck. Agenda 1A, Past Curfew. The campus is strangely quiet and there is no sign of your friend. Hooded figures cross the quad as nervous students scurry under painfully bright street lamps. Act 1A, where there is smoke. You are searching the dormitories for any sign of your friend. We start the game at the location your friend's room, which has a shroud of 2, comes into play with 2 clues per investigator. So the agenda A1 advances when we have 3 doom in play, and we can advance at the end of the round by spending 2 clues. So in the first round we skip the mythos phase and start with the investigation phase. Here we will first of all play Daniela's wrench, our signature card. This costs us 2 resources. And maybe we have a quick look at the card. So here we have Daniela's wrench. So it's a 2-cost asset that takes up one of our hand slots. Exhaust Daniela's wrench. Choose an enemy at your location. That enemy engages you and makes an immediate attack. Then we have a fight action. You get +2 to your combat for this attack. If this enemy attacked you this round, this attack deals +1 damage. Alright, for our second action we will just play the emergency cache to gain 3 resources. And for our final action we will play Hunter's Instinct. This card will allow us to draw. So first of all, it's a 2-cost asset and it is limit 1 per investigator. It comes into play with 3 supplies. And we have the following reaction on the card. After you engage an enemy, spend 1 supply and exhaust Hunter's Instinct. Add a level 0 event from your discard pile to your hand. So perfect to get back the emergency cache. Every time we draw an enemy from the encounter deck, we at least get to spend a supply and exhaust the card to return the emergency cache back to our hand. Beautiful. Now this will end our turn. We will now continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource. We also have found Logan, our bounty hunter, which will give us a resource when we defeat an enemy. Now we will continue with the mythos phase. We will first of all place 1 doom on the agenda and draw 1 encounter card. We have drawn Unspeakable Truths. This comes into our threat area into play, and each time we discover 1 or more clue, we take 1 horror. We can take 2 actions to discard Unspeakable Truths. This turn we first gonna bring in Logan Hastings, our ally, which costs 4 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4. As long as Logan is in play, he increases our combat by +1, and after we defeat an enemy, we can exhaust Logan to gain 1 resource. So we have 2 more actions available. Right tool for the job will probably not be played. We still want endurance to get into play, but at the moment, for our second action, we will draw a card. And for our third action, we will once more draw a card. Alright, now this will end our turn. We will continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards, draw a card, gain a resource, and continue with the mythos phase. place one Doom on the agenda and draw one encounter card. Here we have drawn Noxious Smoke. Revelation. Test willpower or agility. Take 1 damage for each point you fail by. Alright, we can take some damage. We also have bandages in our hand and the jumpsuit. So I'm not too worried about this card, and we basically do not have any cards that we could commit to this test, so we will just go ahead and reveal our very first Chaos token. Daniela's willpower is 3, so we test 3 to 3. And we have drawn a -3. Alright, so we take 3 damage. Or let's place 1 on Logan and 2, or maybe not. So he can survive 1 fire. We keep him here. And we will now continue with the investigation phase. We still have no cards to discover clues, but we also want to prepare any future damage, so we will go ahead and bring in the bandages first for our first action. This is also a 2-cost asset which comes into play with 3 supplies, and after an ally or an investigator takes 1 or more damage, we can spend 1 supply to heal 1 damage from that ally or investigator. Alright, no more resources left, so I would like to bring in jumpsuit as well. So maybe but we will gain resources with emergency cash. And because of that, we're just gonna draw a card for a second action. And we have drawn another bandages, and we will draw 1 more card and end our turn. 2, 4, 6 cards in hand, perfect. We continue with the upkeep phase. We have no enemies in play, ready all cards. Draw a card, wonderful. We now have Look What I Found, which will help us to get the clues here and gain 1 resource. Now in the Mythos phase, the agenda 1A advances because we place our 3rd Doom onto it. We will have a look at the back of agenda 1A. Agenda 1B, Smoke on the Wind. The wind carries the scent of smoke from across campus. A plume of flame rises from a nearby building. Agenda 2A, Lit Up. The sky glows a faint orange as the flames spread. So we have brought in Agenda 2A, which advances when we have 5 Doom on it. We also have a parlay action on it to discard a bystander if we successfully perform the test. And for Agenda 1B, each investigator has to perform a willpower test, and each investigator who fails takes 1 horror. Again, we do not have any cards that we could commit, or maybe Resilience, but that card we definitely want to keep. So we go ahead and just draw up 1 Chaos token. And we have drawn a -2. So we fail and we take 1 horror. We still have to draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn our very first enemy, the mutated experiment. Alright, we now have the opportunity to spend 1 supply with Hunter's Instinct and exhaust the card to get back 1 level 0 event from our discard pile. We also have Vicious Blow in hand in case we want to defeat the enemy with a single attack. When this enemy is defeated, each investigator at its location takes one horror. That's another problem. We would be at 3 horror already. That is something we have to consider. We have resilience in hand to absorb the attack from the Servant of Flame later. So I am thinking about triggering an attack of opportunity. Alternatively, we can fight, but when we fight using Daniela's wrench without being attacked first by the enemy, the attack only deals 1 damage. So we would at least need 2 successful attacks when we commit Vicious Blow. Now we could also provoke an attack of opportunity and commit Vicious Blow to our fight to defeat the enemy with a single hit. And this is what we're gonna do here. How do we want to provoke the attack of opportunity? We could decide to play Emergency Cash. Yeah, let's go ahead and initiate the action to play Emergency Cash. Now this card is waiting in the background before we can resolve the effect. The mutated experiment is gonna attack us. We take 1 damage and 1 horror. The horror we're gonna place on Daniela. Well, it's already at 2. We have to be very careful going on. So the damage we're gonna heal with the bandages. We're gonna spend 1 supply, heal 1 damage. And now we get to fight back with Daniela's reaction. After an enemy attacks an investigator at your location, fight that enemy using either a basic fight action or a fight ability on a card. Limit once per round. Here we're gonna use Daniela's wrench. This card increases our combat by +2. And we deal +1 damage if the enemy has attacked us this turn. We will also commit Vicious Blow to the test. So now we are at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have an advantage of +6. This would cover all but the -8 and the autofill token, and we're gonna take the risk. And we have drawn Skull token. Wonderful. It's just at the moment the Skull token is a -2, so the test was successful. And as we have committed Vicious Blow, we deal a total of 3 damage, which is enough to defeat the mutated experiment. However, we take 1 horror from defeating him. And now we can resolve the effect of Emergency Cash. We gain 3 resources. For our second action, we will use the opportunity and bring in Resilience to soak up a bit more damage and horror. We're gonna pay 3 resources in order to bring in the card. And for our final action, we would like to investigate, but not before we have discarded Unspeakable Truths. So we'll have to wait 1 more turn before we can discover the clues. And instead we could bring in the jumpsuit. Yeah, let's go ahead and Or first let's wait with it. We're gonna draw one more card and end our turn. All right, 2, 4, 6. So back to the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Done. Draw a card. Syndicate obligation. So this card comes into our threat area into play. After you spend one or more resources, take 1 damage. We can take 2 actions to discard this card. And we also gain 1 resource. Mid-toss phase, we place 1 Doom, draw 1 encounter card. Another enemy, we have found the Cantor of Flame. We can again trigger Hunter's Instinct, spend 1 supply, exhaust the card to get back 1 level 0 event from our discard pile. We did that. Now we want to again let the enemy perform an attack of opportunity to make sure that Daniela's range deals 2 damage or plus 1 damage. And here we will take 2 actions in order to discard Syndicate obligations. Or before we can resolve the discard, we first get an attack of opportunity. The Cantor of Flame deals 1 damage, which we're gonna place onto Logan, and at the same time we're gonna spend 1 supply from our bandages to heal that damage. Now this is an attack. We can now use Daniela's reaction and fight back. We're gonna fight with the wrench. And here we have, last turn when we have defeated the mutated experiment, we had the opportunity to exhaust Logan and gain 1 resource. That's why we have him in play. And now we fight back. We had 5, 6, 7, 8 to 2. We have an advantage of plus 6. And we have drawn the Elder Ting token, which is a -4. If you fail, draw the topmost copy of Fire from the encounter discard pile. We succeeded. We had an advantage of plus 6. So we deal 2 damage. Defeat the Cantor of Flame. Now we will not forget Logan, exhaust him, and gain a resource. We also get to resolve our action. We discard the Syndicate obligations. And seems like we have to wait 1 more turn before we can discover the clues here. And we have currently 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. And what we will, for our final action, bring in the second copy of bandages. Pay 2 resources and place 3 supplies on the card. This will end our turn. We will continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Mid-toss phase. We're gonna place 1 Doom, draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn Extraplanar Visions, test willpower or intellect, where X is the number of cards in your hand, 2, 4, 6, 7. If you fail, take 1 damage and discard 1 card at random from your hand. So there's no chance of succeeding here. And we have drawn another skull token. We still fail. We take 1 damage, which we're gonna place onto Logan and immediately heal it with our bandages. And we also have to discard one card at random from our hand. Let's go with this one. And we lost our jumpsuit. Alright, now it's the time to investigate. We're gonna first take 2 actions to discard the weakness card here. Now for our final action, we're gonna investigate. Without committing any cards, we have a intellect of 2 versus a shroud of 2. And we have drawn. Wow. Okay, this is unfortunate because now we succeed by 1. We get +1 to our skill value, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. This is the worst we could have drawn from the chaos bag. Now the idea was of course to play Look What I Found, but this card can only be played when we failed by 2 or less. We succeeded, so we discover 1 clue and we cannot advance, unfortunately. Yeah, the Elder Sign is working against us. Continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Check our hand size. We had 2, 4, 6, 7. Mythos phase. We're gonna place 1 Doom and draw 1 encounter card. Another enemy here. We have a bystander. So we could trigger Hunter's Instinct again, but we do not have any events in our discard pile. Okay. Yeah, let's fight. Yeah, we're gonna fight. Yeah. So we have an advantage of +5. And we have drawn -8. Unbelievable. Okay, so the test fails. All right, we're gonna fight one more time. And this time we have a -2. All right, so we deal 1 damage. He is defeated. Unfortunately, he has the doomed keyword, which places 1 more doom on the agenda, and we get to use Logan, exhaust him to gain 1 resource. So for our final action, we will investigate 1 more time. And we have drawn the -8, which is not a problem. We're gonna play Look What I Found. So a skill value can never drop below 0. And this way we only lose by 2. We get to play Look What I Found. We're gonna pay 2 resources. Fast play after you fail a skill test by 2 or less while investigating. Discover 2 clues at your location. Okay, this gives us the opportunity to advance. When the round ends, we will first of all continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card and gain a resource. So when the round ends, we're gonna spend 2 clues and advance. Act 1B. There is fire. You find your friend's satchel, sword with a stylized emblem of an open palm. Wherever your friend is, you imagine they didn't go willingly. As you turn to leave, you are confronted by a masked figure wreathed in flame. As the room erupts into flames around you, they let out a chilling wail. Act 2A. Escape the dorms. A burning apparition stands between you and the exit. You must escape the dormitories. So when we advanced, we have brought in the dormitories and the Miskatonic Quad. We also spawned the Servant of Flame at the dormitories. Additionally, we have attached one copy of Fire to your friend's room and have discarded the remaining copies into the encounter discard pile. I have separated them so we can grab them faster when we are forced to. So this happened at the end of the round. We will now place one doom on the agenda and also advance at the agenda deck. Agenda 2B. Uncontrollable Fire. Cinders fly through the air above Miskatonic University. The wail of a fire alarm resounds across the quad as dozens of frightened students flee the scene. Agenda 3A. Wild Flames. The campus is ablaze. Fires are already in the discard pile. We now have to perform an agility test with a difficulty of 3 to see if we fail, we take 1 damage. And we have drawn, alright, the Elder Thing marker, which is very worse. We not only take a damage, we also have to bring in 1 copy of Fire, which you're gonna have to attach to the nearest location. So we did that. We attached 1 more copy Fire at the nearest location. Yeah, for agenda 3A, whenever we place 1 doom on it, we have to bring in 1 more copy of Fire and attach it to the nearest location. We have advanced and we will now draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn Cosmic Evils. Now this, we have 2 options. We either place 1 more doom on the agenda or take 1 damage and 1 horror, which then also gains the search keyword. We're gonna decide to place 1 more doom on the agenda, and we will have to bring in 1 more copy of Fire, and this we can only place or attach to the Miskatonic Quad. Alright, I have never seen the fire spread so quickly. We have taken our time to set up. We are very well set up now, and hopefully we can defeat the Servant of Flame before the time runs out and before we get killed by the fire. So our ally is definitely in danger. Luckily we have bandages, but we also have already taken quite some damage. So it will be a very interesting game going, moving on. So we have to be quick. 2, 4, 6, 7. That's unfortunate. We need 3 clues. We have look what I found in the discard pile and scene of the crime. If we decide to draw a card this turn, because there's a chance of drawing the card that lets you get a clue when you get attacked, but it would be awesome if we could draw it. If we cannot draw it, we would have to discard 1 card from our hand, which would be right tool for the job, and an action wasted. So we could move, and we also have the meat cleaver. All right, another hunter's instinct, emergency cache. Yeah, one card is missing, which could make us the life a bit easier. Now the question is, do we want to draw a card? We have already a lot of cards in hand. It would be awesome if we could draw that card, but what are the odds, right? And we do not want to waste too much more of our actions. It's a tough decision. But at the moment, I do not want to risk it. So let's go ahead and take a move action, move to the dormitories. The Servant of Flame engages us. We reveal the dormitories. Here we have a location with a Shroud of 3, and it comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. We also have an action here to heal 1 damage and 1 horror, which is limited once per game. Now, before we take our second action, we now have the opportunity to trigger one more time Hunter's Instinct and get back Look What I Found, which we will definitely need. I mean, those are very expensive cards to discover clues, but we do not have too many alternatives. And yeah, we're gonna take it here. We spent the final clue on Hunter's Instinct, and if there are no supplies on the card, we have to discard it to get back Look What I Found. Now we will take a second move action, or initiate one, to get to the Miskatonic Quad. And for Act 2, Number A, the objective is to reach Miskatonic Quad. Once we have reached that location, we get to immediately advance. So here, when we take the move action, the Servant of Flame performs an attack of opportunity. We're gonna place the damage and the horror onto resilience, which also defeats the card. Now he has performed his attack. We discard resilience, and we get to resolve our movement to the Miskatonic Quad. And here we have a location with a Shroud of 1, and it comes into play with 0 clues. We have a fast action on the card, which can be used once per round. We get 1 free move action. But reaching this location triggers the objective. We now advance at Act number 2A. Act 2B. In the open. You emerge from the dormitories, lungs bursting into the crisp autumn evening. Looking behind, there is no trace of your pursuer. You remember your friend planned to consult Miskatonic University's head librarian, Dr. Henry Armitage. He may be able to help you understand what is going on. Act 3A. Searching for Dr. Armitage. Your friend had mentioned visiting the head librarian, Dr. Henry Armitage. With more and more strange figures arriving, you must scour the campus for his whereabouts. Alright, when we advance, we remove your friend's room from the game. We have discarded the copy of fire that was attached to that location. We also get to set aside the Servant of Flame. And we have brought in 3 new locations: the Warren Observatory, the Science Hall, and the Orne Library. Each of those locations is connected to the Miskatonic Quad, as indicated by the symbols here. So we have one more action available before we can end our turn, and also we can use the free move action at the Miskatonic Quad. Now we'll have to be careful when we end our turn at a location with a copy of fire attached. Each card with printed health gets dealt 1 damage. And because of that, we do not want to end our turn at a location with a copy of fire. We're gonna take a free move action to the let's go to the science hall first. So indicate that we have taken the free move action. Now the science hall has a shroud of 2 and comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. And we have a forced effect. After you discover 1 or more clues at science hall, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Still have 1 action available, which we will use in order to investigate, and we're gonna do it. So because it has a shroud of 2 and there's a chance of drawing the elder sign, here we want to use look what I found. If we fail, so we investigate. And we have drawn the skull token. Now it is a -4. So we fail and we use the opportunity, play look what I found 1 more time, spend 2 resources to discover 1 clue. Now the force effect forces us to choose and discard 1 card from our hand. Here we're gonna discard right tool for the job. And continue with the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card. And gain a resource. So it was a good choice to not draw a card. We would have drawn overpower last turn. Yeah, definitely was a good decision to not draw a card. We have taken our resource. We have checked our hand size, 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. We continue with the Mythos phase. We're gonna place 1 Doom, which brings in 1 more copy of fire. So the whole campus is burning. We are in big danger. Really the very first time this happened. But it's interesting. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Now we still have to draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn extraplanar visions. So we have seen this card before. No chance of succeeding here. We have to take a damage and discard 1 card at random from our hand. If we hit scene of the crime, this will hurt the most. The other cards are also very good, but we definitely now need 3 clues for act number 3A, and we can spend them at the end of the round at the own library to advance. So if we lose the cards which allows us to discover clues, then we are in big problem, of course. But let's see. And we have drawn a skull token. So we fail, we take a damage, which we're gonna place onto Daniela here. Do we want to heal? Maybe not. And we also have to discard 1 card at random from our hand. We have 2, 4, 6, 7 cards in hand. I like to use a dice, but it's not possible with 7 cards in hand. So we just go ahead and pick the middle. We have endurance. That's fine. We have 1 more copy in the deck, and 2 copies of extraplanar visions are now out from the encounter deck. We do not have to worry about 1 more copy of this card. Back to the investigation phase. We still have our scene of the crime, and we're gonna prioritize discovering clues, take an action to move back to the Miskatonic Quad here, then take the free move action from the Miskatonic Quad to reach the Warren Observatory. Now here we have a location with Shroud free. It comes into play with one clue per investigator. And here we have the reverse effect. When we successfully discover one or more clue at this location, we get to draw one card, and this is also a limit once per round. Now for our second action, we're gonna play Scene of the... Okay, so we can't play it actually. It says play only as your first action. So we'll have to wait one more turn before we can play this card. That's okay. At the moment we are safe. There's no fire at this location. We can wait one more turn and use the opportunity, I would say, to bring in the meat cleaver to heal back some horror at least, and fight enemies without having to take an attack of opportunity. Alternatively, second copy of Hunter's Instinct to get back our events to discover clues. But Hunter's Instinct will not help us at the moment, so okay, let's play Emergency Cash first to gain free resources. And for our final action, we will bring in the meat cleaver. So pay the just received free resources to bring it in. Now our hand slots are covered. The meat cleaver allows us to fight. We get +1 to our combat, +2 instead if you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. At the moment we only have 2 or fewer, so the effect is triggered. So if this attack defeats an enemy, you may heal 1 horror. Alright, we have taken our 3 actions. We will now continue with the upkeep phase and ready all cards. Draw a card. Gain a resource. Mythos phase, we place 1 Doom on the agenda. Bring in 1 more copy of Fire. And draw 1 encounter card. Alright, we have found a Hellhound. Another enemy. Luckily he does not have the retaliate keyword. He is a hunter. We will now play Scene of the Crime for our first action. Pay 2 resources, discover 1 clue, and use the reaction on the card to draw 1 card. Alright. Now the problem is if we do not want to take fire damage, we will have to trigger an attack of opportunity here to use Daniela's reaction and fight him back without taking an action. So we would have to take 1 more horror and 1 more damage. So the horror could be healed by the meat cleaver, but that's quite risky. Alternatively, we have still 2 bandages in play. We could also just fight him, defeat him, heal the horror from fire with our bandages. Yeah, we also have jumpsuit is not that good anymore. question is, what cards deal horror? At the moment, there's no enemy that has the retaliate keyword and deals horror. And all the cards in the encounter deck that heal horror, there's only one card. And alternatively, we can place back our clues. Of course, we do not want to do that, so that would be very problematic. All right, so we should give us the opportunity. We should consider that card. Taking fire damage, we will survive. So let's fight normally with the meat cleaver. So this attack gives us +2. We are at 8 with Logan, 5, 6, 7, 8. He is at 2. We have an advantage of +6. All right. So the meat cleaver only deals +1 damage if we decide to take 1 horror. In this case, there's really no chance of defeating the Hellhound with 2 attacks. We have to trigger an attack of opportunity and use Daniela's wrench to make the attack deal +1 damage. So we do not get around the horror. So second action, we take a move action, or we initiate a move action to the Miskatonic Quad. Here he performs an attack of opportunity, deals 1 horror and 1 damage. Now we get to fight back. We will fight back with Daniela's wrench. We still have an advantage of +6. Hopefully that will be enough. And we have, oh, I just dropped it. And we have drawn a -3, wonderful. So we succeeded and we get to deal 2 damage. We also get to resolve our move action. And we will fight one more time. This time we use our meat cleaver. If this attack is successful, we get to heal 1 horror. Now we could commit our power to cover the -8. But we give it a try. We have very good chances of succeeding. Okay, and we have drawn. I drop it. All right, the skull token. So we defeat the enemy with the meat cleaver. Not only do we get to heal 1 horror, we also use Logan and gain a resource. Before we end our turn, we use the fast action on the Miskatonic Quad to move to the on library. Here we have a shroud of 4 and it comes into play with 1 clue per investigator. And we can take 2 actions to draw 3 cards once per game. Now the upkeep phase. Ready all cards. Draw a card. Alright, will help us. Gain a resource. But we still need 1 more card to discover clues. Now, wow, we are in a big problem. I just realized. Hopefully we draw some cards. Okay, 2, 4, 6. Alright, Mythos phase first. Gonna place 1 Doom on the agenda. Bring in the last copy of Fire. And draw 1 encounter card. Alright, just a bystander. Alright. Not too bad. I mean, Wish we would have Hunter's Instinct in play, so we would have the chance to grab Scene of the Crime here. All right. So gonna take the action on library. It costs 2 action. So taking 2 actions also just provoke 1 attack of opportunity. The damage we're gonna place onto Daniela. And we get to fight back now. Yeah, all right. Let's just fight back without committing cards. We're gonna use the Meat Cleaver though. If we defeat him, we can at least heal 1 horror. And we have drawn a -2, wonderful. So we defeat the bystander. We have to place 1 more doom on the agenda and get to heal 1 horror. We also use Logan to gain a resource. And now we get to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, yeah. This is the card we were looking for. And number 3 is Overpower. Okay, there should be 1 more copy of Scene of the Crime and 1 more copy of Look What I Found. So for our last action, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 cards in hand. We're gonna bring in Hunter's Instinct. Just so that when we draw 1 more enemy, we get to draw 1 of the events from our discard pile, paying 2 resources and placing 3 supplies on the card. Now when we end our turn, now each card with printed health gets dealt 1 damage. We're gonna place 1 onto Daniela and 1 onto Logan, but we're gonna use our bandages twice to heal the damage we just have placed on both the investigator and the ally. Now this copy of bandages is discarded. And we have 1 more copy. 2, 4, 6, 8 cards in hand. Continue with the upkeep phase. Here the action we have taken. Ready all cards. Draw a card. Alright. Gain a resource. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 cards in hand. We're gonna discard right tool for the job. Mythos phase, we place 1 doom on the agenda, so we are at 6 out of 10, draw 1 encounter card, and we have drawn Mutated. Either take 2 damage or 1 horror. At the moment we can take horror, that's not a problem. So let's go ahead and test Willpower 2. We have an advantage of +1 and we could commit Meat Cleaver here. We will not use this card for anything else at the moment, so we have an advantage of +2. There's a small chance of succeeding. And we have drawn. Okay, the Elder Thing, a -4, we fail, but we can no more bring fire into game. We have already all copies of fires in game. So we decide to take a horror, which we're gonna place onto Daniela. Investigation phase. First, we're gonna play Scene of the Crime to get the final clue. In order to advance, we have to pay 2 resources. Very costly. Now let's see, we are at 2, 4, 6 cards in hand. Do all with combat. Two for. Okay. Two actions. Now, what do we want to do? We could bring in jumpsuit. This card will be defeated though, but at least Daniela doesn't take one more damage, so we would be at 6. Doesn't make too much of a difference at the moment. May as well just keep the card in hand. I also do not want to draw more cards because I do not want to draw our signature card. We should be able to defeat the Servant of Flame with the cards in hand. We would have an advantage of 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. Seems like we have to commit overpower, and this will increase the chances of drawing our signature weakness. That's unfortunate, but I don't think we can play around it if we want to have 2 successful attacks. Yeah, what are we gonna do here? In that case, let's just gain 2 resources and end our turn. 1, 2. Now fire the damage. Okay, Logan can sustain 1 more damage, so we're gonna place it onto him. And the damage we're gonna place on Daniela, we're gonna heal with the bandages and discard also the final copy here. Continue with the upkeep phase, ready all cards. And draw a card. Alright. Gain a resource. Mythos phase. We place. No, before we will now advance. So we spend our 3 clues and advance in the Act deck. Act 3B. The Servant Unleashed. You find Dr. Armitage barricaded in one of On Library's lecture halls. Some on campus have been acting strange lately, your friend among them. But all of that can wait. We must confront your pursuer and stop them before the entire campus burns, Dr. Armitage says. Act 4A. Blaze of Glory. Your fiery nemesis can't be allowed to hurt more innocents. With Dr. Armitage's help, perhaps you can stop them. When we advance, we have, or the Servant of Flame has returned at the Miskatonic Quad. We also now have found Dr. Henry Armitage, who will support us defeating the Servant of Flame. And the objective of Act number 4A is we can either resign or we'll have to defeat the Servant of Flame. And I just realized we also have to place 3 clues onto the Miskatonic Quad. Now once we defeat the Servant of Flame, we win and can advance. So we will now continue with the Mythos phase and place 1 Doom. Draw 1 encounter card, our final, hopefully. Wild Compulsion. Okay, we have enough resources. Test willpower. For each point you fail by, you either lose 1 resource or discard 1 card at random from your hand. We're definitely gonna decide to lose resources. We have an advantage of +1 though. We have Dr. Henry Armitage now, who supports our sanity here. And we have drawn the tablet. Okay, this is a -2 and we'll have to reveal 1 more token, and if we fail, we take 1 damage. And we have drawn a -4. So in total, we decide to lose 3 resources And we'll also have to take 1 damage, which we're gonna place onto Dr. Henry Armitage. This is the turn where we want to end the game. In the investigation phase, we will move to the Miskatonic Quad. The Servant of Flame engages us into combat. We have now the opportunity to trigger Hunter's Instinct. Is there an event that we would like to bring back to our hand? Yes, we're just gonna go with Scene of the Crime, just in case that we do not manage to defeat them this turn. We could maybe use the clues to win the game. This card can only be played as your first action. We spend the supply and exhaust the card. Alright, 2, 4, 6, 8 cards in hand. We're gonna fight. We will not provoke an attack of opportunity. We will fight using the meat cleaver. And we have a reaction. We can decide to take 1 horror to make the attack deal +1 damage. And we're gonna assign the horror, of course, to Dr. Henry Armitage. He's way more experienced than us. He can is more sustainable to horror. Thank you, sir. Now we'll get +2 to our combat. We had 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Servant of Flame has a fight value of 4. So at the moment we have an advantage of +4. We want an advantage of +8. We first gonna commit Vicious Blow, which will also deal +1 damage if we succeed. So we are at 5, 6, 7, 8 with overpower. Right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, we can only lose if we draw the autofill token. So I have drawn 3, 2, 1. Alright, the Elder Thing. Wonderful. This is only a -4, so the attack was successful and we deal 3 damage. +1 from the meat cleaver, +1 from Vicious Blow. Oh, we'll also have to draw a card. Since we have committed overpower and we have drawn, please note our signature weakness. Yeah, I knew it. We have found it in harm's way. Alright, after you deal damage to an enemy, take 1 damage and place 1 damage on in harm's way. If there's 3 or more damage on this card, discard it. When the game ends, suffer 1 physical trauma. Probably we won't get around this anymore. We'll have to take the physical trauma, which is okay. We have fought a lot, so it's at least fitting to the story that we have taken some damage. Continuing with our story. We have defeated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemies. And here's the 6th one. Final action. Hopefully for the game, we will fight 1 more time with the meat cleaver and we will take again 1 horror and assign it to Daniela to make the attack deal +1 damage. And the weakness card is already in play, so we're gonna go ahead, commit overpower, and these 2 cards to again have an advantage of +8. So as long as we not draw the autofill token, we win the game. Right. Okay, this one dropped. That doesn't count. We have drawn a -6. Perfect. We had an advantage of +8. So we deal 2 more damage. 1, 2, and defeat the Servant of Flame. Meet the objective and win the game. Now we have ended the game with In Harm's Way in play. So for the next scenario, we suffer 1 physical trauma. We also have the Servant of Flame in the victory display. We're gonna draw our final card from Overpower. Alright, so before we continue, we have a look at the back of Act number 4A. Act 4B, A Flame Doused. Your nightmarish pursuer reels back, clutching both hands to their head, as if trying to pry their mask off. The sound of sirens in the distance grows louder. You turn to see a gaggle of terrified students rush past you. When you turn your attention back to your flaming nemesis, they have vanished into thin air. Resolution 1. Mayhem unfolds as dozens of students work together to fight the raging inferno. Your mind races with a flurry of questions. Who was your pursuer? What did the hooded figures patrolling the campus actually want? And where's your friend? Dr. Armitage places one hand on your shoulder, startling you. If we hope to find your friend and their kidnapper, we must leave now. I'll explain everything on the way. You look at the students fighting bravely against the blaze, and then at the head Liberian. You could stay and help, but it would cost you precious time. Stay and fight the fire. Resolution 2. Your eyes sting from the acrid smoke as you work hand in hand with the others to quench the hungry flames. You manage to hold the flames at bay until the Arkham Fire Department arrives on the scene. With the situation under control, you hasten to meet up with Dr. Armitage. Before we end the video, count our victory points. We have the Servant of Flame. We have no clues at the Science Hall. Here we have a victory of 1, which we can add to the victory pile. And also we have 1 victory point at the On Library, which also does not have any clues and is or will be placed into the victory display. So in total we have 4 victory points from this scenario. Thanks for watching, see you next time, and bye bye.